Welcome to this explainer on empowering growth and practical therapy tips, produced by Bright Kids AI. Now, if you've clicked on this, you're probably looking for a lifeline for a scenario that you know all too well. Picture this. It's 7:30 a.m. Your child completely falls apart before school. They're crying, they're absolutely refusing to put on their shoes, and honestly, the energy in the room is just chaotic. And you've tried literally everything. You've tried the sticker charts, the logical reasoning, and let's be real here, you've definitely tried begging, but absolutely nothing works. Look, if you're sitting there late at night feeling this heavy mix of profound love and just deep frustration, take a breath. Because right now, we're going to answer the question, why is every single morning a battle? Those meltdowns, they are incredibly real, and they take a massive toll on the whole family. But before you go blaming yourself or assuming your child is just being defiant, we need to look at the data, because the therapeutic research actually paints a completely different picture. Science tells us that what looks like misbehavior is almost always a stress response. And understanding that exact response, that's your first step to finally getting your mornings back. This right here is the counterintuitive finding that changes the whole game. For the longest time, people operated on what's called the deficit model, basically trying to fix the child or force them into this box of neurotypical expectations. But the research points us in a completely different direction, the skill-building model. Listen, therapy and intervention, they aren't about changing who your kid is, not at all. They're about equipping your child with the tools they need to navigate a really loud, fast-paced world that simply wasn't built for their nervous system. And an absolutely foundational part of that skill-building model is how we handle emotions when they inevitably erupt. Here's the core principle. All emotional states are okay. When your child is screaming because their socks feel wrong, your goal isn't to suppress that massive feeling or rush to shush them. Your goal is to help them name it. Why? Because a feeling that can be named is a feeling that can be managed. Now, to understand why your child dysregulates in the first place, we have to look at unseen senses, specifically things like proprioception. It's basically our body awareness sense. It tells our brain where our body parts are in space without us even having to look. When a neurodiverse child's proprioceptive system gets overwhelmed or even understimulated, their nervous system literally panics. So what looks like a tantrum to the outside world is actually a neurological cry for regulation. And proprioception is really just one piece of the puzzle. Sensory processing differences are so complex. Your child might be getting overwhelmed by vestibular inputs, which mess with their balance, or tactile inputs, where the seam of a shirt literally feels like sandpaper against their skin. When these senses are flooded, the brain shuts down its ability to process language, which is exactly why trying to reason with them during a meltdown totally fails. And it's also why creating predictability, removing those verbal demands, is mathematically proven to lower their anxiety. Okay, so enough theory, right? How do we actually fix the morning routine? Based on all this research, here are 3 highly specific tactics you can literally try this week. We're talking concrete steps tied directly to sensory processing. Step 1, sensory breaks before transitions. Step 2, swapping words for visuals. And step 3, practicing in short, frequent bursts rather than long, exhausting lessons. Let's dive into that first tactic. Right before that major high-stress transition of putting on shoes and running to the car, you've got to give their nervous system what it's craving. Try a short 5 to 10-minute play-based sensory break focused on heavy work. The research shows heavy work regulates that proprioceptive sense we talked about. Have them push a full laundry basket down the hallway or carry a stack of heavy books. I know it sounds almost too simple to work, but giving them that deep physical pressure physically calms the brain's alarm system. Moving on to tactic 2, which builds on reducing all that sensory overload. When you're rushing, you probably throw out a lot of verbal commands, right? Get your backpack, brush your teeth, put on your coat. Well, for a dysregulated child, those words are just more noise. So replace your spoken commands with a visual routine schedule. Just pointing to a picture of a toothbrush instead of yelling across the house immediately lowers the pressure in the room and gives their brain the exact predictability it needs. Now, I know applying these concepts in the heat of the moment can be tough. How are you supposed to spot these hidden sensory triggers before the meltdown even happens? Well, families are finding it really helps to use tools that remove the need for words altogether during those tricky moments. It helps both you and your child spot predictable patterns without needing some complex, sit-down conversation about feelings. Specifically, families are finding incredible success using the MyStars visual check-in from Bright Kids AI. Instead of asking that loaded question, "What's wrong?" your kid simply taps one of 4 visual states. A violet sleepy star for low energy, a teal bright star for when they're calm and ready,
an amber zoom star for that buzzing, high energy, or an orange big boom for when they are completely flooded. It gives them a really simple way to name their state without needing any verbal emotional vocabulary.
And here is where it gets really powerful for you as a parent. After a week of your child simply tapping an emoji, you get a weekly brief that maps out these states. And this isn't just about counting tantrums, right? It's about pattern recognition. You might look at this breakdown and suddenly realize, wait a second, the big boom almost always happens right after school on Tuesdays, or the sleepy star appears every single morning before they've had protein. This brings us to an absolutely crucial point. Once a pattern is visible, it becomes actionable. You are no longer flying blind every morning. You are armed with actual data. You can proactively add that laundry basket pushing exercise on Tuesday afternoons because you know for a fact the big boom is coming. You can take these specific observations right to your child's therapist or into an IEP meeting. It literally turns a chaotic daily struggle into a clear map of your child's nervous system. I want to end by speaking directly to you, the exhausted parent watching this explainer at 11 p.m. When you're in the thick of a morning meltdown, the guilt can just be overwhelming. But please hear this. You are not failing your child. You are simply learning an entirely new language. It's the language of unseen senses, of visual schedules, and of heavy work. So keep observing, keep trying these small shifts, and give yourself the grace you so freely give your child. As you prepare for tomorrow morning's routine, ask yourself, what is your child's nervous system actually trying to tell you, and how will you answer it?